Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. And today we have something really quite special. So we have Sergio Direnzo from Direnzo Watches here with us today. So hello, Sergio. Nice to meet you.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, thank you. So I have some questions for you, and we will obviously get into your watches shortly. But could you tell us a little bit about your background first?
Yes. My background, I was always interested in photography, cinema, music, and finally I studied architecture, and so I worked as an architect for many years, and yeah, that's a bit my background. I always interested in reading, music, photography, especially
Yeah.
photography and cinema. So I've been always interested. That's also a passion for me. So
Yeah.
everything that is design, industrial design, automotive design. I also used to fly small airplanes.
Oh,
Uh,
right. Okay.
yes. But then I had a kid and I
Yeah.
decided to quit
Yeah.
it.
I have two of those and they're really expensive. So,
Yeah.
so do you remember what your first watch was? And do you have any favorite brands at the moment other than your own?
Yes, so I think my passion started with a Hamilton from the
Oh, yes.
'60s that I bought uh, a long time ago. Um, of course I still have it. Now it's a bit small for me, 34 millimeters, but
Right.
20 years ago I really enjoyed that watch, and I think the passion started there with that watch. And then when I arrived in Switzerland and started to be more interested in watches, um, of course, the, the, the big names. I follow Omega. It's one of my favorite brands,
Yeah.
and also Bell and Ross
Oh, yes,
was
yes, yes.
yeah. It's something a bit strange, but it's something that touched me to start thinking about having a brand, no? Because
Yeah.
I saw a new brand creating very nice stuff, and for me it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
But of course, I have many micro brands that I love and I respect. One of my first one was a small brand that I think they are not still doing more timepieces. It's a pity because I loved it very much. That is Vapaus. I don't know if you've heard
No, I
of
haven't
them.
heard of them. No.
Two brothers in the UK. So I have one of their watches, very nice, and then I. Uh, also some brands like NTH. I have one of them. I
Yeah.
have a Straton. I have a Vario. I have Mitch Mason. It's one of my
Oh, yes.
latest. And yeah, and I think I will keep trying to get Isotope. I
Oh,
still
yeah,
love
yeah.
Avic. I love Avic.
Yep.
So
Fun too.
the Microbrand War, I think those are, there are plenty, Second Hour is doing great work as well. So
Yes, yes.
I have, I don't know, like six or eight micro brands that
Okay.
I like very much. And yeah, sometimes it's difficult for to buy other brands, especially, the big names, uh, because they are so expensive.
Yeah, that's
But
right. Yeah.
you put all your funds on your prototypes, and it's hard to to invest in other brands.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
Yeah, I think
I follow many brands, especially micro brands, and yeah, because I know how hard it is, and
yeah.
I like to support them as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons it's so nice to meet founders like you because we like to support the brands, and I think even more so when you get to know the people behind them. So yeah, so thank you again for being here. So can you tell us a little bit about the day that you decided to start your own brand?
Yes, it was a funny story because I didn't thought about starting a brand. When I arrived to Switzerland, to Geneva, I started with a French course, and then
Are you French originally, Sergio? Or?
no, 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 I'm from Argentina
Oh,
originally.
really? Okay, right,
Yes.
yeah.
I was born in Argentina, but my family came from I have Italian origins.
Okay,
At some point, I left Argentina and came to Europe, and I went to Spain, and then I came to Switzerland like 8 years ago.
yep,
So without any knowledge of French, so I decided to start a course and just on the in the same school they just started a watch design course.
all right,
It was a bit crazy because you don't often in your city have a watch design course, no?
no,
So I decided to take the plunge and I loved it and I loved it and then during the course I designed a couple of watches and I said, "Wow, it's interesting." And then one thing after another, I produced the prototype of my first watch, and then that was the time where all Kickstarter was doing very good. So I
yeah,
decided, why not? And and I launched my first watch in Kickstarter, and it was not a huge success, but it helped me to find the basis of the brand and to to go through all the process of designing, producing, shipping, and everything. So I didn't have an idea of having a watch brand, 6 or 7 years ago. It just came
no.
a bit, by chance.
Yeah, and because I suppose, as you mentioned before, you're interested in design and industrial design and photography, and I mean all those things.
Yes,
Those of us that are the same, like it all seems to culminate when you find a beautiful watch because you can use all those skills.
yes, yes. It has proven to be really, really useful. No, 99% of the photography videos. Well, I do all my videos, but especially photography, I do it here by myself,
Yeah,
and for small brands like mine, where you have limited funds, you have to, that helps. But
yeah,
of course, I hope to change that in the future. For every launch, I work with Lars Kettel from. He used to run Wrist Rockers. Now
okay,
he changed the name. But yeah, I will hope in a near future to be able to give this kind of work to people that are completely focused on this because it's very demanding and time
mm,
consuming. But you need so much more material to launch a watch,
yeah,
uh, so much content that it's super expensive. So
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, something you've always done really well is how you present your watches online, and not just photography wise, but you've done short videos and things like that as well. So, and as you said, it's really important because it just presents the brand as a premium brand, So,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
so that's great. But one thing that just from my perspective, you managed to create a really distinct visual language quite quickly, I reckon. So from pretty much from your second or third watch, you see the watch and you see straight and you know straight away that it's one of your watches. So there's many things that you've done, but one of the things I noticed, I think it was on the three, or I think it was the three, where you had this almost sort of bold design on the dial, And I wondered about that, thinking that must have taken a few prototypes to get right. So how difficult was it?
Um, to be completely honest, not so much. I
Oh,
just
good.
designed
Okay.
it, and the supplier did it. I was amazed how it came the first time. Um, we maybe I don't know if you want to talk now about the manufacturing process, but just coming to the first question about the ball shape and the design language,
Yeah.
and for me, yeah, it's the most important part of the brand, how to develop the design language,
Yeah.
and it's something that since 5 years ago, especially from my second watch, I've been working every day. Every day, I'm thinking uh, about small details, about how to evolve that's the main work for me. It's not really the watch, but how to how to evolve the design language. So yeah, with the I think with the second model, which for me is the watch that I'm the proudest, or the model that I think everything really started. I spent so much time during the uh, trying new things and testing things in terms of design. Uh, and from that model, most of of the DNA came out. No, like the
Yeah.
ball shape, the round indices at 3, 9, and 6.
Yeah.
Uh, the calendar at 6 o'clock rounded.
Yeah.
the
And even, I mean, that's another feature of yours that I really love, how the lollipop on the second hand always perfectly covers that date window. Like it's really nice to see.
Yes, with the clips, it was the first, and the clips. What I really like is that um, the idea of the clips, of having the effect, or the concept of an eclipse was very succeeding in terms of concept. No, you have the 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 dark matte center with the sunburst fume. So you had
Yeah.
the clips, you had the lollipop orbiting, eclipsing the date every 60 seconds, and the apply indices were like like sun rays, and so I think and also the it was I've been avoiding to use typography since the my second watch, so
Oh, yeah.
so everything is graphically very clear,
Yeah.
and it's it's a mix of minimalistic and baroque, or how do you say that, eccentric at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a mix of those two. I try to do something that but the work is mainly trying to do something not so crazy and within the orological language, and at the
Yeah.
same time trying to create something personal
Yeah.
and unique. So I'm always I have a line and trying to, for example, the Mondial, it's a more classical design.
Yeah.
It has the Direnzo elements like the ball shape and the date, but it's a more classical design compared to the O2, for example.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, agreed. And the Eclipse was the first one that I bought from you. So I backed that on Kickstarter. And I do remember that launch because it was so unique, and all those little aspects that you described. I mean, you probably wonder if people would even notice it or care, but I know a lot of people did. That it feels to me like that launch was sort of your massive breakthrough. I could be wrong, but
Yes,
it was
that's
great.
what changed everything, and yes, for
Yeah,
me the Eclipse was the before and after the brand, no,
yeah, yeah.
because the O2 for me was a super important launch in terms of it was a watch that placed the brand in the, people started to talk, but it was not commercially successful. No, it was not something that I could start thinking about running a business
Yeah.
completely 100% like now. So for me, the O2 placed the brand, but the O3 was the model that, helped me start to run the business.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was my first diver, and at the time I didn't have a lot of experience with divers, so there were some issues with the, superluminova,
Oh yeah.
not with the dials, no, with the superluminova not being. Uh, but yeah, I'm glad that most of the people understood that, sometimes this thing can happen, but in terms of design was something that, had some value, and you will be glad using it. So
Yeah, yeah, I can't. I think I did say that you're launching a second version of that one, which I'm right behind. So I'll be buying
cool.
that. Just a heads up.
Which color?
I like the white one a lot,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's beautiful. So I mean, I think there's a blue one, like that sort of Tiffany blue, whatever it is that everyone's going gaga for at the moment. That's really nice as well. But I really like the white one.
yeah. The white one is going to be very nice,
Yeah,
as well. One of my favorites. The light blue, I think, is going to be really cool as well.
yeah,
And yeah, so I'm now in a phase of trying uh, to relaunch models, because always get messages of,
yeah,
uh, people telling me that they couldn't get the second, the third, or the
yeah,
fourth.
yeah,
So after designing five watches and changing all the cases, all the dials and everything, which is completely insane,
yeah,
I'm taking a, I'm just trying to to improve things, and especially on the O3. The O3, it looks very similar, but the one of the main things have been solved, like the superluminova.
yep.
I'm also doing a new middle case with the lugs are more curved.
Okay,
Uh, the
that sounds
dial
good.
has some small details, like the branding and the minute tracks. Um, the crystal is new as well. It has
Okay.
a kind of a box sapphire crystal,
Oh,
and it's
lovely.
going to be flat to avoid reflections. So everything, a lot of details that are going to be improved,
Yep.
uh, and I'm very happy how I have the prototypes here, and I'm quite happy with it. And yeah, so
I look forward to that. That's
yeah.
going to be great. I think lots of people are. So on another thing that we always hear about too is sourcing movements, how difficult that is, and which ones you go for, and where you get them from, and all that. So I spoke to Carl in my last interview from Stratton, and he's using a mix of movements as well. And he did mention that sometimes it could be perhaps a tad easier when you are based in Switzerland. But what's it like for you? Like, have you got preferences in terms of the movements you put in, both, I guess, from your customer's point of view and from your own?
Yes, so for me, uh, being located in Switzerland, I decided to go Swiss made, because for me it was the natural path.
Yeah,
Uh, which, having said so, probably if I were not located in Switzerland, I would be doing a non-Swiss made and using Miura movements,
yeah,
which are great.
yeah,
But being here, um, I decided to take that path, um, and it's not so complicated in terms of, I have a, how do you say, a team, a supplier that assembled my watches here,
Okay.
and they've been working for more than 30 years. So they have their contact with Celita, that is the movement that I
Oh yeah.
use,
Yep.
and for them they just get them without issues, without delays,
Yep.
um, and that you know that's one thing for me less to think.
Yeah. For
Uh,
sure. For sure.
I think in a business perspective, uh, I'm paying more probably for everything,
Yeah.
uh, movements, parts, everything. But I have some peace of mind, and that I'm going to have my watches on time. I've been delivering my watches on time, even on Kickstarter,
Yes.
and
Very,
and
very rare. So that's great.
especially the O3 that we did during COVID, for me was
Yeah.
like a miracle. I couldn't believe when I had the watches here.
Nah.
They were on time during the first stage of COVID. I just couldn't believe it.
No.
So for me, that's super important
Yeah.
to have confidence with my suppliers that I'm going to have my watches, that if I have an issue, they are going to respond and they are going to
Yeah.
change. And also during the prototype phase, they are very responsive. If for example, I have the O3 white and the center is not exactly the light gray that I wanted, and they are doing doing that dials again. So I have created some trust and with them, and it's good. So about
Yeah.
supplying the movement to that's how I work.
Yep.
And I'm thinking in maybe to try to create like a more affordable line in the future, but within Direnzo, and maybe using Miura movements.
Okay.
Uh, to try to do like a Direnzo watch, but a non-Swiss made watch, um, because sometimes, well, sometimes it's for me to pay $800 a watch is a lot of money,
Mm.
and for students or for people, it's sometimes it's difficult to do that. So I'm
Yep.
thinking it would be nice to offer the same experience but more affordable tag.
Yeah.
So that's something, and I think maybe in the future I will be launching a series of watches with using
Okay.
a Miura
Yeah,
series.
great. That's good to hear. Yeah, for sure. Um, so, uh, so in my day job, I work with a lot of small to medium businesses, and there's something, I've asked everyone, all the founders behind brands, if they actually knew what they were in for, because I mean, obviously you are everything. You're the web designer, you're the photographer in this instance, you're the accountant, you're basically everything. So did you realize how much work that will be? And can you tell us a little bit about what your average week looks like?
Yes, it's very hard. Very hard to try to do everything. I realize it's impossible to do everything, you know, uh, to have an excellent level in everything. So I'm thinking that I should change this way of working in the near future,
Yeah.
because it's super demanding. Uh, when I started, I didn't, you know, I had no idea. So I'm always glad that my first Kickstarter campaign was not super successful, and I could have the complete experience uh, from A to C, and something that I could handle myself, and at that point, I realized that running a business, a microbrand, the easiest part is designing the watch, and and the most complicated is everything else. No,
Yeah.
um, yes, it's very demanding, time consuming, and I it's hard. It's
Yeah.
very hard. So every time that someone asks me, like an advice for someone to is going to start a micro brand, is first you have to be super passionate about it, because
Yeah.
it's just impossible to do it if you are not completely 100% into it.
Yeah.
Uh, because you're going to have so many problems, so many issues, and but if you cope with those, it's I love it. It's for me. It's I wake up in the morning so happy to be able to do this, and when you run a campaign and it's great, and or when you receive emails of with the positive feedbacks, it makes you so happy,
Yeah.
and so proud to be able to create something that people connected with, and it's yeah. I think you have to be super passionate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's lovely to hear too, that you feel that way when people contact you, because I'm sure a lot of people, sometimes I think we've all done that at various times, where you send an email or tweet or a Facebook message or whatever, and you sort of go, they probably don't care, but I think you all do. Like, it is really nice to hear lovely things, and as you say, like, it's really good to see people wearing them and all that. It's
Yes, I do care a lot, and it's something for me, you know, very important uh, to to have a close contact with people, with the people who follow my brands,
yeah,
my brand, and I'm always exchanging a lot of information. They give me advices, and we talk a lot. I know by heart their preferences, what they like, what they don't like.
yeah,
I I since it's such um, sorry, just one
yeah,
second,
sure,
please.
sure, yeah,
Sorry, Bjorn was
all good.
the delivery guy.
It's not live, so that's fine.
FedEx, I had to open that door.
Yeah,
So I have I have become friends with many of my um, the people that follows my brand,
yeah,
and I do a big percentage of my work. It's thinking of them, and how to improve everything, details, and how to produce something that I know they like.
yeah,
So I have a very small but fierce fan base, and it's for me, yeah. I'm glad that I haven't done a lot of international, exhibitions, like just once in the UK and once in at Washington. But
oh yeah.
I was very glad to finally meet them in person. So
Yeah, that's so. Would you say it's the best way to join the Facebook group if you do want to sort of stay in touch with you and see updates and things?
yes,
Or
now I'm running a private group that is called Direnzo Watches Group,
yeah,
um, and there I show a lot of you know a bit more material, or future releases, or ideas, or sketches, and I have a more direct feedback about a new design.
yeah,
But yes, I'm very open. I'm also always exchanging messages through Instagram, Facebook, or
yeah,
emails, and I'm very active on the groups, like
yeah.
the league, the Microbrand.
Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, I see you there quite a
So
bit. Yeah,
yeah, so I really, for me, especially at the beginning, you know, I didn't have a lot of experience, but now I'm trying to try to validate more my ideas with the community. I think
Yeah.
it's super important and hear their opinions. And I'm always here, trying to how to improve things, or how to, for example, during the Mondial, the first Mondial, people complain about the butterfly class, and then the idea of adding this second folding class, with a special end link that will fit. So this kind of ideas, and it's very important to have your ears open
Yeah.
to all comments, all critics, bad or positive, because it's the only way to evolve, no? And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think also, I think it's useful sometimes from the perspective of a customer that, I mean, videos like this, when you get to know you a little bit and see that you're a real person, and interacting with you on Facebook or wherever too, like, hopefully that means that when you give feedback, you remember that I'm giving it to this person that I really like. You know, this is not just some nameless corporation that, oh hey, your loom is shit or something. You know, there's no point doing that, because you actually want to work with this person, and hearing that you're listening as well is fantastic.
exactly. No,
Yeah.
I'm listening a lot. In fact,
Yeah.
yeah,
We talked a little bit about this before the interview started. So you are actually working with Direnzo watches full time now.
yes,
So it must be a very challenging balance to strike with pricing, because I mean now in particular you're actually trying to provide for a small family and make a living from your watches, but on the other hand they can't be too expensive, because then I guess the microbrand buyers won't buy them.
yes.
So I guess where I'm going is, are you comfortable at this point where your pricing levels sit?
I it's as I said earlier, it's a complicated subject. It's something that think every day. Uh, as I'm a designer, so for me it's complicated something sometimes to divide my brain and think as a entrepreneur, and as a so it's it's super tricky. I think it's the most complicated thing in this area, because
Yeah,
you produce something unique. For example, how do you price that? No,
yeah,
people sometimes tends to think, components, or if it's Swiss made, no, non-Swiss made. Uh, I'm glad that sometimes there are some brands that, I think it was MBA that launched a watch with the most cheap Miura movement or
yeah,
Seiko, and they price it like almost 4,000 USD.
yeah,
Um, so it's very complicated. You are starting your brand. You don't want to go, to ask for loans. Uh, so yeah, for me it's very complicated, to be honest. Um, if you have a solution or an advice,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
here. So I think what I'm trying to do now is, with the pre-sales, you get to have an access of the watches with a discount for those that they can afford to spend more.
yeah,
Then you have, during sale, the retail price, and then you have these limited editions that they are a bit more expensive. So you are getting something more exclusive if
yeah.
you can afford that. Uh,
And it sounds as well like, I know, I spoke to Travis from RZE a while ago as well, and he was saying something similar as well, where some of his early customers feel like the brand is going up and up and up, and it's getting a bit pricey. So he's going to address that in the future. And I think what you said before as well, maybe an option would be to have like a cheaper movement and a more of like an entry level watch that you can sort of buy to just check it out first, and then start saving for your next one, sort of thing.
yes, yes, I think that's a bit the idea, no, to have try to reduce some cost. For example, the Minnesota 90,000 series is a great movement, and so you could have, the same experience, the same quality, but uh, with a more affordable price.
Yeah.
But it's something, it's one of the ideas. It's not something I. The problem is that today I think I'm still very affordable compared to other
Yes.
Swiss-made brands,
Yeah.
micro brands like Christopher Ward or Farrer or Monta or Formex, which I love.
Yeah.
Of course, they always have something that little extra in terms of, for example, their buckles or clasp or some parts that you know, and they have more wisely than me have been running a business. They know how to, for me, I'm still a designer, and so when you price better your watches, you have more funds, you can do better marketing campaigns, especially outside the micro brand world, and you have more resources, and you have
Yeah.
more people that they can do better their jobs. Um, so it's like like a circle, no? You call it that
Yeah.
capo coda, no? The head that eats. It's complicated. It's
Yeah.
complicated
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
but also, for example, now these times with the global economy, inflation, it's complicated to keep the pace. And but yeah, if someone has an idea, I would love to hear.
Yeah.
How,
Yeah, and I think it is a tricky balance as well because you mentioned there's a couple of brands like Farrer, you mentioned Monta, I mean there's Oak and Oscar. There's a few of those brands that
mm,
uh they're sort of up there almost with a RS pricing or something like that. So
yes,
then you sort of go, yeah, I mean they're really nice, they're beautiful watches, but it is a significant amount of money for any normal person to
yes.
spend.
And I would
So
like to add one thing that for me, is super important. No, is for me, as a micro brand owner, the only way to compete with anyone is design.
mm,
It's uh, you know because you could have same prices, but if you are doing something unique and honest, and for me, it's the only way. It's design, because you can have a great in-house movement or everything, but if the design doesn't tells anything, or it's boring, or it's the same stuff, uh, you know you are not going anywhere. So
no.
for me, the only way to compete with brands like Christopher Ward or Monta or Farrer, it's all about design. That's where I put my all the efforts. Yeah, I would love to do, for example, I'm um, uh, on the fly clasp and all that, but it's
Yeah.
complicated to find a supplier.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I try to offer something, something unique, like
Yeah.
these small details that we talked before.
Yeah, yeah, well said. So, I mean, you do have a pretty good following now, I think, from as far as I can see. There's a lot of YouTubers that cover your watches, and you got some good groups, you got a great website, and all that sort of stuff. So, um, where would you like to be in 5 years, do you reckon? Like, I guess from a point of view of where the business is in 5 years, and also, would you have employees at that point that will do some things for you, or what's the plan, do you reckon?
Yes, yes, it's something, a subject that I think every day, and I I still need that. I have to solidify some points. Um, I would love to grow a bit more of course, the amount of watches that I produce every year. Also, it's difficult for me to understand what is going to be super successful and not. For example, with the last Mondial, it was almost sold out in 2 days. That was
Yeah.
a first time for me. So trying to understand the how much do you have to produce, how it's something. So I don't have a complete clear vision of how things are going to be in 5 years, but I would love to keep doing great designs, great
Yeah.
watches. Uh, Try to find a way to keep having stock, no, not only launch a batch and then it's sold out and nobody
Yeah.
can buy them anymore. So I'm now I'm starting to understand how I could how I could do this. So yeah, trying to evolve the brand in that sense. Employees, I don't think so. I I I think I like to keep things small. I love
Yeah.
to have this personal touch with the my the, the people interested in my brand. I always add a written note on my packages, and
Yeah.
I would love to keep this personal. And I don't see myself go. Uh, I don't know how to do it, in fact. So that's the honest answer. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
We'll have a chat again in 5 years and see where you're at.
but I I'm currently, for example, the 3D models. I have someone that does it for me.
Yeah.
I would probably start working more with a photographer. I will probably will start to work more with a marketing agency.
Yeah.
Things that you can how do you say outsource,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and you can specifically do for a particular objective or mission. And so I think that that's going to be. I do have someone that helps me with packaging. So
Okay.
so but I don't seem. I would love to have, if I can. I would love to have a nice space like an atelier with tools. In fact, I'm starting on September a watchmaker course. Uh,
Okay. Nice. Yep.
so I already have some tools, and I try to. I would love to have an atelier with machines and things to
Yeah.
use myself, pieces, or to do whatever, or to
Yeah.
so I would love to have that in 5 years.
Okay.
But
So
here in Switzerland, it's everything so expensive. A
yeah.
place like that is. We are so small. It's such a
Yeah.
small country.
Yeah, now Carl said the same thing. He said if I wasn't based in Switzerland, it would be quite different. So it's probably the same for you. But everyone that's watching this, make sure you keep buy lots of your watches so we can see you achieve that goal. Um, so can I ask your thoughts on Kickstarter as well? It's something I've asked everyone until, in every interview because there's some good things and bad things with Kickstarter, I guess. But Kickstarter has changed quite a bit over the years as well, where it used to be a lot of really interesting things that were launched there, and it still is. And in particular with watches, you still have a few brands, such as yourself and a few others that had really successful campaigns, launched amazing watches. But then you have a lot of other stuff on there that's perhaps not so amazing. So
Yeah.
would you go back to using Kickstarter again, would you say? Or
You know that I thought about using Kickstarter lately. I thought
okay.
maybe to do a Kickstarter special 5 years or something like that.
Yep.
So it's something that is in my mind. I love Kickstarter. Without Kickstarter, I wouldn't be here. It's true that yes, it's been terrible these last 2 years or three with campaigns that they haven't delivered their watches. It's it's been a terrible experience, especially for those for everyone, for all
Yeah.
microbrand owners and for customers that lost their money. So yeah, sadly, it's not the best time to do a Kickstarter campaign. Uh, but as many persons, people, say, are expressing on the groups, if you have a brand that they have, you know, they have proven to be serious, like for example, Batab is now launching a new model.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw that.
and you had to be you're going to be 100% confident that they are going to deliver. But it's true that if you are a new brand and your goal is tricky. It's
Yeah.
tricky, and especially people, they realize now that okay, you're going to you're going to participate on a Kickstarter. You're going to save a bit of money, but the risk is a bit great. It's a big. I mean, you would rather wait to they go on retail.
Yeah.
So it's complicated for a new brand to launch on Kickstarter, but you still have some brands that they've been doing quite well. There's been a diver with colors from Japan. I don't know.
Yeah, Namika, I think the
Yes,
Namika watches.
oh,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
first first Kickstarter campaign, almost 300 Ks, I think.
Yeah.
So, and it was last
And
year.
I actually there's some similarities there with you as well because they were very beautiful, like unique designs. They were presented really well and very professionally. So they sort of built trust just with the way that they presented things. So as you said, it can still be done.
Yes, yes, you have to work a lot with
Yeah.
a lot before, during, and after the campaign.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons I quit Kickstarter was not because of the percentage. It's because the amount of work is
Yeah,
completely
yeah, yeah.
insane. You have no idea, especially for the O3 was at some point I was thinking I was going to I was going mad, but
Yeah.
yes. So having a super successful first campaign, it can be tricky as well. That's
Yeah.
why so yeah. But I'm still thinking it's a great platform. I could
Mm.
use in the future.
Yeah,
Perfect.
good to hear. Yeah, I mean, it seems actually, I mean, if anyone's watching this that's looking at launching on Kickstarter, the one thing that always seems to be an issue is the fact that there's not enough communications from the people that started the campaign. So, I mean, you can't reply to every single comment, but sometimes there's campaigns that are running where there might be an update once a month. And you
Yeah.
think from a customer's perspective, it's just not good enough. Like
Yes.
you
Yes.
want to hear like there's almost no such thing as too much. Like you could almost put a comment in every 3 or 4 days saying, "Hey, we just got these buckles and we're working through them." Blah blah blah. Like I think that will make a difference to customers. I could be wrong.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Mm.
Absolutely. I think about that. For example, in my personal experience, I have a problem that is that I can't leave a response unanswered. And it,
Ah,
I have
that's a good problem.
yes, yeah, no, but it's so on Kickstarter for me it was I had this feeling of being the customer and not having an update. Uh,
Yeah,
how tense would that be? So for me, having updates and answering every comment was important. But and that's part of why it's so difficult to run a brand, because you
yeah.
need to be every time everywhere, and at the same time designing your watches, and so it's super hard. So
Yeah, it would be super, super tough.
yes, I
So
think ideally you need to have a team.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, in a way, it's kind of good what you said before. Like you have a team that you trust to assemble your watches and source movements and things like that. So that's a good thing in a way. Like you almost have a bit of outsourced team.
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah.
I think it's a bad idea to go too cheap in terms of uh, try to pressure too much your suppliers, or try to go too cheap on, because that's going to pay later. And
Yeah, and I think with most things in life, you do get what you pay for.
yes,
Uh, Not everything, but lots of things.
yes,
Okay, so one final question for you. So you've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but your next release. So it sounds like probably the Earth 3, the Earth 3. Sorry,
yes,
losing
yes,
the plot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
We just talked about that half an hour ago. So you're making a new versions coming out of that. So
yes.
that's going to be really exciting.
Yes, yes, I think many people were waiting this particular model. I'm very happy with all the everything has been addressed technically.
Yeah.
Uh, there's even going to be an optional bed of rice strap for this
All right.
bracelet for this watch. That's something new. And yes, I'm very happy with it. Probably it's going to be the launch on October after I deliver the Mondial.
Yep.
And then one of my most exciting launches is going to be the new release of the O2.
Right.
What is after delivering the Eclipse. I've been working on this new model for more than a year, and
Yeah.
it's going to be called the O2R for reduced.
Okay.
Uh, so it's going to be smaller, 39 by 45 instead
Yep.
of 41 by 48. So
Lovely.
much more easy to wear. Uh, Everything has been redesigned in terms of the case, bezel, sapphire, dial, everything. Although if you look at it, it's very similar. There's going to be two or three new colors: purple, a kind of orange mustard, and there's going to be a new color. Um, and then there's going to be a limited edition. So and it will come with a bracelet as well. Very
Okay.
yeah.
That
So
sounds good. That's a really cool design, that one. I remember, as you said, I reckon I came across you with the O3, but then when I backed the O3, then I started looking at your back catalog and saw the O2, and I mean that's the one with the really cool patterns in the middle and things, and you just
yes,
go,
yes,
wow, I wish I would have jumped on that. So that's really exciting.
yes. That one is going. It's going to be something super nice. And
Yeah,
then I'm currently working on the O6 that I think is going to be insane. Really, really cool.
awesome.
Something completely new, a new case uh, that is something very unique. I think haven't done before. The dial it's super cool as well. Something it's going to have some very nice details, and I'm working on that, trying to take a lot of time to do something you know something super unique, something very exciting. That O 06, and then uh, I'm also thinking about launching soon my first GMT.
All
Uh,
right. Oh, cool.
yes, I'm not sure yet if it's going to be like an O3 GMT or the Mondial GMT, or not sure. Probably I'm going to do one of those models, but not sure yet. So yeah, a lot of plans in my head for for
Yeah,
for, the, for next year especially.
you're
Uh,
going to be very busy with that, with all
yes,
that's coming up.
yes, and it's crazy because you need to think a lot of in advance, but you have to start working on your prototypes a lot in advance. That is something that
Yeah,
I learned, that if you because it takes a lot of time, more like a year to
yeah,
or more than a year to design a watch, and then you to have the prototype. So you really need to think ahead, um, and that's complicated. That's complicated.
yeah.
Well,
So So just a final note to make sure we're getting on all your pre-orders and everything. What's the best way of staying in touch? Is it signing up to your newsletter or?
Yes, you can sign to my newsletter, although sometimes you send a newsletter, they go to the spam.
Yeah,
But
true. Yeah,
all my information goes out with a newsletter or an Instagram post or a Facebook post,
yeah,
and you have on my website on news, you have all the information. I have created this special group on Facebook as well.
yeah,
So yeah, one of those channels. I think the easiest is Instagram, or it's something more easy
yeah.
to. But yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Um, well, it's been a real pleasure to meet you. You're yet another person that you can't help but just slightly falling in love with over an hour, much like all the other founders I've spoken to, and I'm sure people will love getting to know you a little bit and watching this. So thank you so much for your time.
No, thanks to you, Esbjorn, to have me on your channel. It was a
Pleasure.
real pleasure, and yes, let's be in touch. And
Yeah, for sure.
thank you again for having me here. It was, and I hope I don't bore your audience too much.
I don't think so. No, not at all. I mean, it is an hour, so they do have to be passionate, but
Oh yeah.
so far they have been. So